Hey, welcome to my channel. If you've been here before, we've gone through a lot of tutorials on how to rebind a book and make it into like a special edition. In the past, I've told you how to use a Cricut to make these pretty designs and cut them out with the machine and weed them and iron them on. But it's a sort of expensive machine, and also weeding is sort of annoying. So another thing you can do is print your book covers. And so I've done a lot of different examples of that. And we're going to go through all the materials that I've tried, because there's a lot of different ways that you can cover it and what worked, what didn't work. And then at the end, I have a little quick Canva tutorial on how to set up your design in Canva to print it and do whatever you want. So let's just dive in. Please remember to like and subscribe. Thanks. I have tried a lot of different things for printing cases, and we are going to go through all of them, everything that I've tried. I'll put everything down in a list on the screen of what I tried, and then in order I think we can go through what each thing was and whether I'd recommend it or not. So let's first start with, this is just book cloth. I just ran my actual book cloth that I get from Book Craft Supply Co. through the printer. And as you can see, it actually turned out just fine. I really messed up the measurements of everything on it, and so I didn't use this, and I ended up using something else when I actually rebound this. But you can tell that it looks fine printed on here. The only issue with this one, though, was that because the book cloth itself is curved, because it's been rolled up for so long, that when you put it through the printer, at least for me, it made a very horrible sound. And so because of that, I didn't want to try it again, because I was afraid I was going to ruin my printer. So I never tried it again. But I know book cloth works. So if you can find a way to flatten out your book cloth, I think it would be okay going through the printer. But mine was just so curved still that it was a bad sound. Next is this. I got on Amazon. I have it linked in my storefront. And unfortunately, when they sent it folded, so to be determined if that crease will come out. But let's show some examples. So for this, so there's two sides to it. There's the white side, which is the actual side that you're supposed to paint or print on. And then there's this back side. And the back side has a more of a linen feel to it than this shiny side. So I didn't even know at first. I thought this was the side you're supposed to print on, just because I'm used to making all my linen books. So I use this side, but it's actually this side that I'm supposed to print on. However, I don't like using this side. When I found out, I started using this side, and I did a whole Emily Henry set. But as you can see, I did that 100 times. You can see those creases. It just, this side, I don't think it's supposed to bend like that. And so not only that, this side really scratches easily. One of my friends told me to use this and to spray it, and that's supposed to stop it from scratching. However, I tried that. After I made this, then I sprayed this half. The footage is 2 months ago. I don't know where to find it, but I sprayed this half with this multiple times, let it dry for a day. Didn't spray this half, and then went to test. See, I don't want to break my nails. So maybe the side isn't coming off, but even with spraying, you still get those creases. So you can do this side when it's printed. It looks great. It does really good color, and now the color gets sucked into the fabricy side. But you're gonna get these creases eventually if you open your book a lot. If you're not gonna ever open your book and you're just like, ooh, here's my shiny trophy on the shelf, then maybe the side is fine. And you do you, but I did this 100 times because just to sort of mimic opening a book, and I did that. So anyways, so here's examples of me using the printing on this side of it. And this goes through your printer just fine. No weird sounds, no weird noises, none of that. So this was actually, I think, the first thing I ever printed on my new printer, and I really like how the colors and everything turned out. I was just trying different designs. This is from a Michaels pad. This is not that. I was actually looking at different colors. If you just go to a normal craft store like Michaels and you get these canvas sheets, these can work as well. So this is what I used for this, for a collab I did with them. But I just wanted to see the difference in, just because this is meant for drawing, it's not meant for printing. So the color is definitely muted, but it still looks good. But here's just it on this paper, still printing on the wrong side. And then here's, I don't know why I didn't use this, but here's just another one printed on that side in here. So even you can see, so as much as I do that, it's not gonna hurt this side, but you can see how that side is creased. So if you're gonna use this pad, I honestly recommend printing on the wrong side of it. And this is my preferred thing to use. Next up, and just a quick side by side. This is also printed on that pad, and then this is the one that I printed on the book cloth. So here's this an up close comparison. They look pretty good. So these three are a different type of printable canvas that comes in this huge roll. It's on Amazon, it's linked in the storefront under all the printing supplies stuff. And I believe for this one, let me see here, it doesn't focus. I printed on this side of it, not the linen side. And I'm not sure if my print settings were just different, because you can see the difference in, all of these are sort of different in color. This one versus the first one that I ever printed. But this is definitely seems, I don't know, I might have turned down the opacity on the color on this picture in Canva, but it has really good detail. And this was just and there's a little bit of color, but when you do that, the color doesn't come off. I think because you can see that I just was testing, so I didn't actually do a really good job gluing this down. But then I did both of these with it. I didn't get that crease very well. They don't crease the same way that that canvas does. So this I think is better if you want this type of look. Although, let's see here, what's going on there? I wonder if I got it wet. I wouldn't recommend getting any of these wet. Definitely don't get them wet. But normally you're not touching your book with wet hands. So that's this. And I haven't tried spraying any of these with this because I don't like the smell of this. So I've seen people spray them with this, and one of my friends does, but it just smelled up. It just smelled for too long, and I just don't want that on my shelf touching it. But if you want to, I'm sure that hitting this with this may help it some, but I don't like it. Oh shit. Another quick thing that I tried, this is homemade book cloth. I went down a toil, but no. I tried homemade book cloth. I'm really bad at ironing, so it's really hard for me to get all the wrinkles out of things to begin with. But also, if you can see, it's sort of messed up going through the printer. And can you see this? You see that? It didn't really work that well. So I didn't try making my own book cloth again. I would try, if push came to shove, I would definitely try my own book cloth that I own again. The ones that I got from Bookcraft Supply Co. But I would not try homemade book cloth personally, because it just sort of messed up in the printer, and making this takes 20 minutes, and why would you make it and then mess it up? Okay, and last but not least is paper. So you can print just normal paper and use that as a normal wrap cover, but there's a couple different kinds, and some work and some don't work. So first I was like, oh, if we're gonna print, what if I get marbling? So I got marbling paper because I thought, oh, marbling paper is really absorbent and I can get in the right grain direction and it feels nice. And I've seen a lot of people just cover their entire books with marbling paper, just like marble it and then nothing else, just wrap the book. However, the first time I printed with it after buying over $100 worth of it, unfortunately, this is what happened. And for reference, this is what it's supposed to look like. So the marbling paper is so porous that basically it sucked in all the ink and it makes it very light. And also, see that? It didn't do well. So marbling paper is very much a no. Don't do that. Don't waste your money. So before we talk about paper covers, we need to have a quick discussion about grain direction. And grain direction involves, paper has a grain, so it either will run this way or this way. And you'll be able to tell that by doing a couple things. Have you ever noticed how some books are super floppy and some aren't? So like, go like this, and it really doesn't want to bend. It doesn't want to open. Oops, sorry. And whereas some are like floof, 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 floof. So that's because of grain direction. So here. Take a page from the not floppy book. Floppy book. So the floppy book means that the grain direction is going to be going this way. And the not floppy book means the grain direction is going to be going this way. So grain direction means basically the way that the paper naturally wants to bend. So this was a floppy book and it's like, ooh, bendy. But when you try and bend it the other way, you feel more resistance. So it's like, here's where I start to feel the resistance. But when I bend this way, it goes like that. So see, if I go like this, it's going to go like that. But now when I bend it against the grain direction, I already start to feel the resistance. In regards to grain direction, things want to fold with the grain, not against the grain. So also another way to tell the grain direction of something is to, let's cut this in half. So another way to show or to test grain direction is to try and rip things. So when it rips with the grain, it's going to rip straight. So here, that was ripping against. So does that make sense? So this grain direction was going this way. So when I ripped it this way, it ripped straight. But when I tried to rip it in the opposite of the grain direction, it sort of messed it up. And then here, when the grain direction was going this way, when I tried to rip it down the middle, it goes wonky. But when I try and rip it with the grain direction, it goes straight. So now that we've done that, when you're using paper to wrap your book, because your book is going to, you know, open and close and open and close and open and close a zillion times, I personally think that it's important to have the grain direction properly. So originally I bought this. This is just matte photo paper that I have linked on my Amazon storefront in the printing section as well. However, because my friend recommended this, the problem with this is it's not got the right grain direction. So if I'm gonna recover a book and use it like this, I want my grain direction to be, it's called short grain. I want my grain direction to be going this way so that when I fold it, it's gonna fold the way it wants to fold. And the problem is that this paper is not short grain, it's long grain. Which means the grain direction is going this way. So it's gonna be folding against the way that it wants to. So it works, but it's not the best. So instead, I went to a place called Kelly Spicer's and I bought paper that was about twice as big as this, so that when I cut it in half, the grain direction is going this way. So if you want to use paper to wrap your book, I'd suggest looking for paper that has the proper grain direction. And unfortunately, some places when you buy online, you're not going to know until you get the paper what the grain direction is. But Kelly Spicer's is this huge paper company type thing, and you can just call, at least I called and asked, and they were able to get it to a warehouse near me. And for me, I was able to buy, I think, I don't know, 20 sheets or 100 sheets or something, and then cut it down to size. And so for these, this works really well. And I just cut it to 11 by 17 and then put it through the printer. But this is the proper grain direction, whereas this photo paper is not. It will still work, but it's not the best. Anyways, so you've printed on paper. Then you can either just wrap it and be done. However, the paper could be a little sensitive to glue. So another thing you can do just to protect it in general is to then put soft touch laminate over it. So here is my first attempt, which turned out absolutely horribly. It looks terrible. This is my first ever attempt using soft touch laminate on top. You can see it sort of pulled away. I did it again for the Martian book that I gave to a friend, and I will see if I can cut in end images of it because it turned out really good, but I already gave it to her, so I think I forgot to like film. But this is another attempt at soft touch laminate. You can still see in certain lights, you can still see that. So what you do for soft touch laminate is you print out your paper. Am I using it on my ACOTAR books? Let me see. I'm rebinding these. I might have used paper on those. I am. So this is the short grain paper with soft touch laminate. And in certain lights, it looks absolutely fine. However, this is also matte soft touch laminate. There's a gloss one that I just bought, but I haven't had a chance to use it yet. See there, it starts to get a little honky when you open it too much. A lot of people use wrap covers, but I don't know if I like the feel of it personally. I really like linen books, but this is an option. So what you would do is you'd print out your paper on this, and then you'd get the soft touch laminate, and it comes in a roll like this, and you want this part up, this part in, and you would go like this over, cut it. Make sure that none of these pieces are peeking out over your paper. Get them within the paper, otherwise it might make a mess. And you want to make sure that there's no dust or anything on these. And so where did I put the scissors? It also doesn't really cut well. Make sure it's not creased. I wouldn't use this piece. I would use a flat piece. You'd have this go over your entire picture and everywhere that you're going to cut, and then just put another blank piece of paper on top so it's sort of sandwiched, and then feed this through your laminator or your mink. I bought a mink, but a laminator would also work just fine. And if you want, you can feed it twice, and then you'll come out with something that's laminated. If you can see, this one's been laminated. So you see that line? This is the paper and this is the lamination. See where it sort of ends? And so then from here you use this, and you just use this, go like that, put this thing in, glue, fold, call it a day. And a quick thing to note about when you're designing this in Canva is originally I was printing guidelines like this, so all I had to do was run this through the printer once. And so I would use these guidelines to go on this side and then just draw lines, because these were basically showing me spine. Spine is going to be here. This is where the end of my book boards are going to be. This is where they're going to be within. My book board would be from here to there, and then it would stop there. This was a really thin mass market paper book that I rebound. So that's what I was originally doing, and you can still do that. But what I started doing was just doing double-sided printing, and I'm just gonna cut in a tutorial that I did for that and show you how I did that in Canva and how you design in Canva too. So that's shot vertically because I did it for TikTok. But yeah, that's everything. I'm gonna go over just a Canva portion of how to design the cover for a printed book. You're gonna need to cut your boards to size, and I go over that in a different tutorial. So the first thing you need is to know the entire length from here to here, this full length, and then this. And for that, you're gonna then make the outline. Go into elements, you're gonna get a square. And then you're gonna go up here to position, and we're just going to pretend you're gonna go here, and we'll just say the width was 12, the height was 8. And then you're gonna go here and align to page, center, middle. And then up here, you can either keep it like this, but I like to just do this, give it a border, and then make it invisible. And then you're gonna lock it. And that keeps it exactly there. And then from there, then that will always be there. And this, again, is this. You're gonna get another one, and then you're gonna position this one, and we'll just call this one 5 by 8. And then you're going to move this to right there, and then you're going to duplicate this. It's going to be your front and back cover. And so then you have your front cover and you have your back cover, and then if you want to make your spine, duplicate this again. But then that one you need to change the width. Let's just call the width. Let's actually make that a little bit bigger, so that normally what I do is I have this board, and then I make another box right here. So this box is 7 millimeters or 8 millimeters, depending on what your hinge gap is that you normally use. And then here's your spine width, and then there's that. Then you're gonna lock those 4 so that they can't move around. And then from there, you're just gonna design everything, your cover, based on this. So now you can just go and find images that you want. There's a million in Canva, and then I honestly search mainly museums and public domain websites, because don't use AI art, because just don't be an asshole. So let's just search up rainbow. And then first I go here, and in terms of layering, I send it to the back so that always my lines are in front. So I can basically, you could just go, if you want it to be bigger, if you want it to be smaller, and add more images or whatever. So then you just, from here, this is the wild, wild west. Now you get to do whatever you want to design your cover of your book. There's a title, make it white so you can see it better. Title, author, then here's your spine. So because now you don't have to weed things, you can put as much as you want. I'm not sure. Here you can put quotes on the back, you can put other images on the back. You could have just absolutely nothing on the front or the back of your cover and just do something on the spine. Just have pictures on the spine. You can also line up your spines. So you could just make a series just like how you see those like crazy overpriced covers. What is it, like Juniper books or something, where you buy like $400 just dust jackets? Yeah, that's crazy. You can make that yourself. And I can do a video on how to do that if you want. Here you are. Oh, so you have this and you're done. And you're like, oh, this is what I want. Well, first of all, I bring these in before I print, just so that I'm saving ink, because this is a ton of ink to use. So, okay, from here, duplicate page, and here I used to see them like this. So now that you have this and your cover's done, you're gonna export 2 pages. The first page because this was locked, so that this page is just gonna be, you're gonna delete everything off of this page, apart from your exact dimensions. And then over here, go to layers, and then you just unlock, delete, unlock, delete, unlock, delete. Then you have what you're going to export. Since you centered this initially and you made all of this go around this being centered, when you export both of these, are both 11 by 17, I'm going to put into my printer 11 by 17 paper, and I'm going to print this side and then let it dry for a second. And then I'm going to flip the paper around and then put this side in and just print this on the back of it. So when you go to line up your boards, you can just put your board here, your spine there, your board there, and everything, it will completely line up. And I've tested this multiple times. Print, if you have the option between tabloid, borderless, and just do tabloid, borderless. How you do it. So then you just go to export, and oh, this is important actually. And then you are going to save as. You don't want to save as a PNG. You actually want to save it as a PDF, best for printing. And you can test between the RGB and the CMYT. I've been doing the CMYT one, but honestly, I'm not sure if there's a big difference. I've done a lot of different test materials, but I don't know if I tested just directly these two. And then you just download that. But you definitely want to save as a PDF print, not as a PNG, because it saves crisper as a PDF. And that's all.